Welcome back to the Experience Pros Radio Show with Angel Tussey and Eric Kramer. Very nice to have you along with us today. We are blessed to have a guest in the studio.
We are blessed to have a guest in the studio. John Hamill is the managing member of Ostech Business Transitions. He helps businesses optimize their value before they leave and exit their company. As a business owner, so often we think about starting our business, getting our business up in operations,
Right.
systems, processes, hiring. But we need to start thinking about the end game as well.
Get out!
John is no stranger to family and privately held business, as he has family members and relatives, both past and present, that have owned anything from a small to very large companies. And some of them have done exceptionally well, and others have learned from valuable, disappointing experiences.
Ouch.
I love how you put that,
Right.
that they brought to their next adventure or their next venture. John is also a member of the Global Chamber Denver and Bragg Business Resource Alliance Group, the Colorado Micro Business Alliance, and of course, the Experience Pros Network. John Hamill with Ostech. Welcome to Experience Pros.
Thank you.
John, it's good to have you in the program. And I tell you what, I'm excited about our conversation because the last time we chatted with you, about a month ago or so, we had we talked about the legalities of setting up an exit plan and having a strategy and all of that kind of stuff. But one of the things that we did not get to time to cover really was, what if your exit plan includes people that you are related to? Because that
Notice how he pauses.
can
that.
get sticky,
How do I word
right?
this?
No, never.
No. Well, then my misunderstanding.
I'm kidding.
All right. So, John, what you got for that?
You know, one of the things about family that I think that when you bring into a business, it's very different than anything else,
Right.
is really the aspect that there's a lot of assumptions that happen in a business. When you have regular employees, you have, other executives in your company, and you're actually dealing with them, you can let them go. You can, figure out, okay, that doesn't make any sense to my company anymore. Right. But when you hire in, people into your company that are family members, how do you tell them, you're not just working out anymore? Right?
You're fired, jerk.
And if you're making a transition happen within the company,
Right.
who do you decide that's going to actually take over?
It's funny. I see this happening in wills as well. Because what you're doing is you're transferring assets one way or the other. You're going to transfer an asset. And it is a good question. How do you decide? And John, have you ever gone through a transition where a company business is handed down to the next generation? And if you have you ever seen opportunities for
He's being so PC today.
Because it can the gloves come off when the relation that variable comes in. Have you ever had issues with families? You don't have to name them.
No, I've had relatives that went through a personal transition of their own company too.
Okay.
And what I've seen is that there was a lot of assumptions going on.
Right.
The son that basically thought that he was going to take over the company for free.
Right.
And the parent thinking that they were going to charge them a lot of money for the company.
Well, the company has value, so I got to sell it to whoever the highest bidder is. And if it happens to be my son, fine. But if it doesn't.
But the son thought it was just going to be passed down to him.
Correct.
And I think that's probably a natural assumption. Is that fairly common, John?
Often it's actually a promise, even from the patriarch himself. I'm going to give you the company. Don't worry about it.
Is that promise in writing?
Never.
No, we just talked about it at Thanksgiving.
Well, at least that's not been my experience, right?
Someday, son, this is going to be yours.
I think it's so
right?
The Lion King.
Before it ends up being very successful and very expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it comes back to, well, I can't really afford to, and you really don't have the money. They can actually do it given enough time,
right?
And putting in a good strategy and plan for it.
Okay, how much time? So let's just pretend hypothetically, although this is quite possibly a real scenario for you, John, is that at some point we've decided, yep, I'm going to pass this on to my son, and I know that I'm going to pass this on to my son, or my son does think that they are going to want the business. I mean, I'm thinking that probably at that point you should get it in writing, but how much time should we plan for that? I mean, I'm not old enough to think that I'm going to pass it off yet to my child, but maybe someday that would be nice. But I'm not sick. I'm not looking at retiring just yet. So how far in advance do I really need to put this in writing?
So let's say that it's a perfect situation where the kid is qualified. The kid is wanting to be in the business.
Okay.
And the patriarch thinks that that's going to be the possibility he wants to hand down the business to, or maybe several of his kids.
Or the matriarch, just to keep
right.
that.
And, or divide it between 3 daughters or,
Yeah.
right.
Let's say that they have
keep it
been a
simple.
manager in the company.
Right.
We'll step it up even a little bit more,
All right.
because
A lot of
it's
variables
very
here.
even different if the kid's never worked in a company itself and then is expecting to take over. That's even a longer period of time. So they've been managing the company for a while,
Right.
in one capacity or another.
So they're in the company.
Right. And then you have the
Oh.
dynamic of, you're a great manager, but are you another visionary for the company? And that's a
Okay.
determination. That can take, a few years to figure out from the owner, to start looking at them, to start asking the questions, identifying, their kid, and seeing exactly, do they have
Did you
this right
say
skill set?
years?
Well, but even think
Unfortunately.
about some different other companies, thinking Apple comes to mind. We have a visionary at the head, right? We had a visionary
Right.
at the head. And so it's the visionary of the business. And so I can think of a specific company of somebody I know now, the patriarch, visionary for the business, passing it off to a family member, not so visionary, but involved in the business, very involved, the financial side, the accounting side, the logistics side of it, but not the visionary. And yet that's who the business is going to be passed on to. I
What
don't
do
know.
you do?
I see bad things happening.
I like
see
to use
bad
an
people.
analogy I read a long time ago.
Okay.
Said, you are like a fruit on a tree.
Yep.
You're either growing or rotting.
Right.
Mm.
So without a visionary of the company, you're not going to be able to innovate.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to carry on, the changes of everything that happens as you go forward.
And publicly traded companies are probably not the ideal conversation piece for this, because they're run by boards. Steve Jobs was fired by his family, right? At least the family he set up. All right. Well,
Should we have a board of directors at this point before we pass it on, or is that necessary?
I guess it depends on the size of your company,
Oh.
right?
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you have a really bitty small company, board of directors seems a little bit,
and the tax
costly and-
structure as well. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that go into that. John, can you help small business owners who are, they're the mom and pop shops. They're the ones who have built the book of business. They're the ones that are working in the business, and now they're 20 years, 30 years in, and they want to hand it down to a family member or to sell it outright. Can you help them with Austech?
I could help them if they actually want something out of their business, meaning they want to do something with it, a legacy. They care about their employees. They care about their clients. If they don't care about anything, I don't know who can really help them. I think they just
Sure.
need to liquidate the company
Just
and move
shut her
on,
down.
right?
Liquidate and
Because
shut down.
it's
Okay.
going to take your time. It's going to take an investment in actually doing that stuff. So in those cases, yes, I can actually do a lot of help and a lot of good, but they really need to know, they really have to have that edge, so to speak, in order to really want to do something.
All right.
What is your specialty at Austech?
My specialty tends to be more on the third party sale preparation. I find a lot of errors and a lot of problems that are in that category
Mhm.
that they're jumping into it way too soon. On the
Gotcha.
family owned business, there's a lot of other dynamics when they're actually transitioning. But a lot of times they take their time to make those transitions, and maybe it's a lot longer than maybe they should. But a lot of people rush third party sales way faster than they should.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. John, please give some contact information for our listeners who may or may not be in or entering the transition thought process.
I think I would like to put them to my webpage. I think there's some good information on that.
Okay.
It is Austec BT. That's AUSTEC BT, like boy, Tom.com.
AustecBT.com.
Right. For Austech Business
Business
Transition.
transition.
So your business is transitioning away from you and into somebody else. And then we've watched some different companies try to sell and different things, and they just find out they are not ready. They are nowhere near ready as far as they think they are when they're ready to sell their company. There's a lot of stuff that has to get cleaned up. And so before you go into cleanup phase, make sure you get in touch with John and his team over at Austech Business Transition, AustecBT.com. John, thanks so much for being with us in this studio today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Always a privilege. Folks, don't go anywhere. More positive business talk is just ahead, because that's how we roll here at the Experience Pros. This is the Experience Pros Radio Network.